Listen to me. Before you close your eyes tonight, before you drift into sleep, I need you to remember who you are. Because too many of you go to bed defeated. Too many of you lay your head on the pillow thinking about what you didn't do, what you lost, and what people said about you. But hear me clearly. You are not your mistakes. You are not your failure. You are not your fear. You are your fight. You are your grind. You are your spirit. You are your purpose. Every night before I sleep, I remind myself I'm not average. I'm not ordinary. I was built for greatness. And so will you. Don't you dare let this world make you forget your value. Don't you dare go to sleep believing you're less than what you were created to be. Before you sleep, remember, you're a warrior, a dreamer, a survivor. You've made it through everything that tried to break you, and you're still standing. So tonight, don't just rest your body, rest your faith. Rest knowing that tomorrow is another opportunity to rise higher. You may have lost the battle today, but the war isn't over. You may be tired, but you're not done. Remember who you are, a fighter with a purpose, a believer with vision, a soul on fire for destiny. Because once you remember who you are, the world can never make you forget it again. Now close your eyes, not in defeat, but in confidence. Because tomorrow you're coming back stronger. Listen to me, I need you to understand something deep tonight. Before you close your eyes, before the lights go out, and before you drift away into another dream, I want you to hear me from your soul. Who you are is greater than what you're going through. Your identity, your character, your spirit, your heartbeat, that's who you are. It's not your current situation, not your mistakes, not your losses, not the people who walked out on you, not the rejection you felt. None of that defines you. What defines you is the person who keeps getting up, the person who refuses to quit, the person who decides that no matter what the world throws at them, they're gonna keep fighting, keep believing, keep pushing. You are not what happened to you. You are what you do next. You are what you do next. So many people lose themselves in the struggle. They let the weight of the world crush their sense of identity. You failed once, and suddenly you start saying, maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I'm not meant for this. Failure is an event, not a person. It's a chapter in your story, not the title of your book. When life hits you, when people doubt you, when opportunities close their doors, that doesn't change the fact that there's greatness inside you. You were created with purpose, with power, and with potential. And I'm telling you tonight, don't you forget it. When you look in the mirror, what do you see? Do you see the reflection of your struggle, or do you see the reflection of your strength? Because how you see yourself determines how you fight. Too many of you are living your life based on your circumstances instead of your character. You let the situation define your self-worth. You let one setback convince you that you've lost your value. But let me tell you something. Gold doesn't lose its value just because it's buried in dirt. You can throw it in the mud. You can cover it in dust, but it's still gold. And you, my friend, are gold. Life might have buried you under pain, disappointment, or heartbreak, but underneath all that, you're still valuable, you're still strong, and you're still destined for something great. You got to stop letting what you're going through make you forget who you are. I get it. Life can be hard. It can break your spirit. It can drain your energy. It can make you question everything. But even when it's dark, even when it's tough, even when it hurts, you've got to look within yourself and remind your heart, I'm still here. I still have purpose. I still have fight left in me. That's identity. That's power. That's the kind of self-awareness that can't be shaken by failure, by loss, or by fear. Because when you know who you are, you don't fall apart. When life falls apart, you hold on tighter. The problem is, some of you have forgotten your worth because life taught you to survive instead of thrive. You've been in survival mode for so long that you started believing survival is all you were made for. But hear me, you weren't made just to get by, you were made to rise. You weren't made to exist. You were made to live. You weren't made to blend in. You were made to stand out. You've been trying to be accepted by people who don't even know their own identity, when all along, your power was in remembering your own. You don't need anyone's validation when you already know your value. See, your circumstances are temporary, but your identity is eternal. That's why no storm lasts forever. That's why no pain is permanent, because who you are can outlast what you're going through. There's something in you that refuses to die. That's why you've made it through what should have destroyed you. You've cried, but you're still here. You've been betrayed, but you're standing. You've lost things, people, and moments you thought you couldn't live without, and yet you're still breathing. That means you're stronger than you think. That means there's something in you that refuses to give up. I remember when I was down bad, when everything around me said it was over. People didn't believe in me. I was sleeping in abandoned buildings, trying to figure out who I was, but I had to learn. My situation didn't define me. My decisions did. My circumstances didn't tell my story. My choices did. I had to stop seeing myself as a victim and start seeing myself as a fighter. And once I realized who I was, once I remembered that's built different, create with purpose, everything changed. The moment you remember who you are is the moment you take your power back. Some of you go to bed every night thinking about everything you did wrong, every goal you didn't hit, every word someone said to tear you down. But before you close your eyes, remind yourself who you are. You're not a failure. You're a learner. You're not weak. You're evolving. You're not behind. You're being prepared. Stop focusing on where you failed and start focusing on the fact that you're still in the fight. Because the fact that you're still trying means you haven't lost. Let me tell you something. Lions don't lose sleep over the opinion of sheep. When a lion looks in the mirror, it doesn't see fear. It sees dominance. It knows what it is. It doesn't need a crowd to tell it it's powerful. It doesn't need approval to know its strength. That's how you gotta move. You've gotta stop letting small-minded people make you doubt your greatness. Stop letting temporary pain make you question eternal purpose. You are who you are, powerful, chosen, capable, even when life doesn't feel like it. Remember that before you sleep, because the world will try to make you forget it when you wake up. And listen, knowing who you are isn't arrogance. It's awareness. It's understanding that even when things go wrong, you don't lose your value. You can be broke and still be valuable. You can be tired and still be strong. You can be doubted and still be destined. People will walk away, and that's okay, because the power was never in them. It was always in you. When you remember who you are, you stop chasing validation. You stop comparing yourself. Comparing yourself. You stop apologizing for being you. You stop trying to fit into boxes you were never meant to fit in. You stand tall, even when the world tries to bend you. You got to understand your identity is your anchor. When the storms of life come, and they will, your anchor keeps you from drifting away. When everything's changing, when the pressure's heavy, when it feels like everything's slipping out of control, your identity reminds you, I'm not my situation, I'm not my struggle, I'm built for more. That's why you can't afford to forget who you are. Because once you forget that, the world can make you believe you're less than what you are. Every great person you admire, they went through something that could have broken them. But what kept them strong was their identity. When they got knocked down, they remembered their why. When doors closed, they remembered their purpose. When people doubted them, they remembered their power. That's the difference between people who quit and people who conquer. The conquerors never forget who they are. So before you sleep tonight, why don't you think about this? What labels have you accepted that don't belong to you? What names have people called you that you started to believe? It's time to let those go. You are not broken. You are not worthless. You are not average. You are not too late. You are exactly where you need to be for your next breakthrough. And it begins when you stop identifying with your pain and start identifying with your purpose. Don't let life trick you into believing your struggle means you're losing. No, your struggle means you're growing. Diamonds are made under pressure. Gold is refined by fire. Seeds grow in darkness. You're not being buried, you're being planted. Everything you're going through is shaping you for what you asked for. You say you wanted success, right? You said you wanted purpose, right? You said you wanted strength. Well, strength doesn't come from comfort. It comes from resistance. It comes from remembering who you are when everything around you says you're not enough. You were born with a mission, a fire, and a dream. And every time life tries to dim that light, it's your responsibility to reignite. The world needs your gift. The world needs your story. But first, you have to believe. You have to know that you were built with intention. You are not an accident. You are not random. You are divine design, handcrafted for greatness. You were chosen for this moment, and no setback can change that. You got something inside you that can't be taught. It's who you are. So when you lay down tonight, don't just rest your body, rest your faith. Let go of the doubt, the guilt, the shame. Tell yourself, I am enough. I am powerful. I am still becoming everything I was meant to be. And when you wake up tomorrow, walk like it, speak like it, live like it. Because when you remember who you are, the world doesn't stand a chance against you. You are identity in motion. You are greatness in process. You are purpose unfolding. And no matter what happens, you are not your circumstance. You are your consistency. You are not your failure. You are your fight. You are not your pain. You are your power. So before you sleep, remember this: who you are is stronger than what you're facing, and nothing in this world can take that from you. Every night before you sleep, you're given a sacred opportunity that most people overlook. A moment of reflection, a moment of truth, a moment to look back and see who you were today. Victory doesn't always show up in trophies or applause. Sometimes victory shows up quietly in reflection, in the way you look at your own life and realize, I made it through another day. That's powerful. Because reflection is not just about thinking. It's about reconnecting with yourself, about reminding yourself of the warrior you become through everything you faced. You see, before you close your eyes, you need to take inventory, not of your failures, but of your fight. You need to remind yourself of how far you've come. Because when you see your growth, you start to recognize your strength. And when you recognize your strength, you stop being afraid of the next challenge. Too many people go to bed focusing on what they didn't do, what they didn't accomplish, what they didn't finish. They go to sleep defeated, overwhelmed by the weight of unfinished goals and unmet expectations. But listen to me. That's not reflection, that's self-punishment. Reflection is not about guilt. It's about growth. It's not about criticizing who you were this morning. It's about celebrating who you become by the night. When you take time to review your day through gratitude and awareness, you start seeing victories where you used to see failure. You start realizing that even if you didn't hit your goal, you still made progress. Even if the day wasn't perfect, you still showed up. Even if nobody saw your effort, you still gave everything you had. And that, my friend, is victory. See, life is a collection of moments. Some small, some big. And how you interpret them defines your emotional strength. Every night, you have the power to rewrite your narrative. You can choose to look at your day and say, I didn't do enough. Or you can look at your day and say, I grew. I learned, I kept going, because real victory is not in perfection. It's in persistence. It's in the small wins that often go unnoticed. It's in the discipline to keep pushing even when you're tired. When you take time to reflect, you start to see how far you've actually. And once you realize how much you've grown, you'll never look at yourself as weak again. Reflection builds awareness, and awareness builds strength. When you sit in silence at the end of the day, you're not wasting time. You're sharpening your spirit. You're learning to listen to your inner voice, that voice that says, or capable more. You're learning to recognize the difference between being tired and being done. You're learning to find meaning in your journey. But when you skip reflection, you live life on autopilot. You wake up, work, eat, sleep, but you never grow. You never learn from your experience. You never see how close you are to transformation. That's why reflection matters. It helps you pause long enough to see the blessings you missed, the lessons you ignored, and the strength you gained. I want you to start looking at your day the way a champion looks at a training session. Every night, review the tape. See what went right. See what could have been better. Don't beat yourself up, study yourself. Because the best athletes, the best leaders, the best dreamers, they all studied their performance. Not out of shame, but out of hunger. Out of a desire to be better tomorrow than they were today. You need that same hunger. Before you sleep, look at your life and ask, what did I do today that moved me closer to my dream? And if your answer is, I showed up, then that's victory. Because showing up is how change begins. Some nights, you'll reflect and feel proud. Other nights, you'll reflect and feel disappointed. But both are valuable. The nights you're proud remind you of your potential. The nights you're disappointed remind you of your purpose. Every feeling is feedback. Every emotion is a teacher. And when you learn to listen instead of run from it, you become unstoppable. That's what reflection does. Turns pain into perspective and failure into fuel. It teaches you that nothing you experience is wasted. Even the hard days, the frustrating days, the days that make you question yourself, those are the days that shape your soul. And let me tell you something, the person who learns from reflection is dangerous. Because once you understand yourself, nobody can manipulate your mindset. Once you know what you did wrong, nobody can use your mistakes against you. Once you face your truth, nobody can control your story. That's why reflection is power. It gives you ownership over your life. It reminds you that you're in control of how you respond to every situation. You might not control what happens, but you always control what it means to you. I remember when I used to go to bed frustrated, thinking I wasn't doing enough, thinking I was behind. But one night I stopped and said, let me think about where I started. And when I did that, I realized I wasn't behind, I was growing. I was building. I was learning how to keep my faith strong when everything else seemed uncertain. That realization changed my energy. Reflection turned my frustration into focus. It reminded me that I was becoming someone I used to dream of being. Sometimes you don't see your progress because you're always comparing your today to someone else's highlight reel. But if you take a moment to reflect, you'll see that you've been climbing. Slowly, quietly, but surely you've been getting stronger. Before you sleep, ask yourself, what did I learn today? What tested my patience? What revealed my strength? What reminded me of my purpose? Because every day is a lesson disguised as life. And the moment you reflect, you extract the wisdom from it. Most people repeat their mistakes because they never reflect on them. They rush through life without stopping to process it. But when you reflect, you evolve. You start recognizing patterns, where you're strong, where you struggle, where you grow. You become intentional about your tomorrow because you understand your today. Reflection also builds gratitude, and gratitude changes everything. When you sit in silence and think about your day, you'll notice the small thing, the smile of a stranger, the meal you enjoyed, the problem that didn't break you. Gratitude takes you from complaining to celebrating. It makes you realize that no matter how hard life gets, there's always something to be thankful for. And when you go to sleep in gratitude, you wake up with strength. You wake up ready. Because a grateful heart doesn't fear the future. It's too busy appreciating the present. Now listen, reflection doesn't mean dwelling. Don't replay your pain to punish yourself. Replay your pain to understand it. Don't dwell on mistakes. Extract the message. Don't sit in guilt. Sit in awareness. When you reflect properly, you don't stay stuck in your past. You use your past as a guide for your future. You learn what to keep, what to change, and what to let go of. You learn to forgive yourself, to be patient with yourself, to trust your own timing. And when you can do that, peace follows. The truth is, you can't grow without looking back. Reflection gives you a mirror to your soul. It shows you not just what you did, but why you did it. It reveals your motives, your fears, your triggers, your habits. It's how you catch yourself before repeating what no longer serves you. That's real maturity when you start learning from your own reflection instead of waiting for life to teach you the same lesson twice. You don't have to keep touching the fire to know it burns. You just have to reflect long enough to remember the pain it caused. That's how you grow wiser. Before you sleep, give yourself the gift of reflection. Sit quietly, even if it's just for 5 minutes. Breathe, think, feel. Ask yourself, did I live with intention today? Or did I honor my values? Or did I give love? Or did I move closer to my vision? And if you did, that's okay, because tomorrow is another chance to realign. Reflection is not about perfection. It's about awareness. And awareness is the seed of transformation. Every great transformation starts in stillness. Every powerful breakthrough begins in reflection. When you learn to sit with yourself, you start hearing your truth louder than your fears. You start understanding your emotions instead of running from them. You start healing. You start aligning with your purpose. You stop being reactive and start being proactive. And when you live that way, intentionally, reflectively, your days stop blending together. Every day starts to mean something. So tonight, before you sleep, don't just close your eyes on autopilot. Take a deep breath. Think about the battles you fought today, mental, emotional, spiritual. Think about the strength it took just to keep going. That's victory. Think about the choices you made, the discipline you kept, the patience you showed. That's victory. Think about the times you could quit but didn't. That's victory. Every one of those moments is proof that you're growing, that you're becoming who you were meant to be. You don't need a crowd to clap for you. You don't need the world to validate your effort, because before you sleep, you can validate yourself. You can look back at your day and say, I did my best. And if you did, say, I'll do better tomorrow. That's it. That's the power of reflection. It's honest, it's humble, it's human. It's how you keep your fire alive when the world tries to dim it. So when the day ends and the noise fades, sit in your victory, sit in your reflection. Let your heart remind your mind that you've come a long way, because you have. And tomorrow when you wake up, you'll rise not just stronger, but wiser, because every night you reflect, you refine. Every night you look back, you move forward. That's the secret. Victory begins in reflection. Every night before you close your eyes, there's a battle happening inside your mind, a battle between faith and fear. Fear whispers, oh, you're not enough. You're behind. You failed again. But faith says, keep going, you're growing, you're closer than you think. The problem is most people let fear have the last word before they sleep. They lay there thinking about everything that could go wrong, everything that hasn't worked out, and everything they can't control. And that's why they wake up tired, not just physically, but spiritually. Because fear drains you even in your sleep. But I'm telling you tonight, replace your bedtime worries with belief in your next day potential. Before you sleep, choose faith over fear. See, fear is loud. Fear doesn't wait until morning. It attacks at night when the world is quiet, when your mind is replaying the day's mistakes, when your heart feels heavy. That's when fear creeps in, whispering doubts into your dream. You're not doing enough. What if you fail again? Or what if it's too late? But faith doesn't shout, it whispers truth with peace. Faith said, you made it through today. You'll make it through tomorrow. Faith says, what's coming is greater than what's gone. Faith says, God's not done with you yet. And every night you choose faith, you build your spirit strength to handle anything the next day brings. You got to understand, fear feeds off uncertainty, but faith grows in it. The same place where fear sees chaos, faith sees opportunity. The same moment that fear says, we're finished, faith says, we're just beginning. So when you lay down at night, you've got a choice to surrender to fear or to rest in faith. One will rob your peace. The other will restore your strength. Faith doesn't promise that everything will be easy, but it promises that everything will have purpose. When you close your eyes believing that you don't sleep like a worrier, you sleep like a warrior. The truth is, fear has been lying to you for too long. It told you that your dream was too big, that your time has passed, that your pain means punishment. But let me tell you something. Fear only attacks what it knows is valuable. It wouldn't target you if you weren't carrying something powerful inside. The fact that fear keeps showing up is proof that you have something worth fighting for. Fear shows up when you're close to breaking through. That's why every time you feel afraid, that's not a sign to stop. That's a sign to lean deeper into faith. Because fear is a sign you're moving in the right direction. Faith is not the absence of fear, it's the decision to move forward despite it. Faith says, I don't know how, but I believe it will work out. Faith says, I don't see the way, but I trust there is one. Faith says, even if it takes longer than I planned, I still believe in the timing. When you carry that kind of mindset into your rest, your sleep becomes sacred. You stop tossing and turning about what went wrong and start resting in the peace of knowing that you're guided, protected, and growing. You stop ending your day with anxiety and start ending it with assurance. Some of you go to bed every night with the weight of tomorrow already pressing down on you. You worry about bills, deadlines, relationships, outcomes, things that haven't even happened yet. But listen to me, worrying about tomorrow robs today of its peace. You've survived 100% of your worst days so far, haven't you? So why would you stop believing now? Every problem you thought would break you, you're still here. Every storm you thought would drown you, you made it through. So when you lay down tonight, you don't need to fear what's coming. You just need to rest in the same faith that got you this far. Faith is not passive. It's not wishful thinking. It's action with belief. When you go to sleep with faith, you're recharging your purpose. You're allowing your spirit to breathe again. You're saying, I've done what I can today, and I trust that tomorrow will take care of itself. That doesn't mean you stop working. It means you stop worrying. There's a difference. Working from faith creates peace. Working from fear creates exhaustion. Fear says, you'll never get there. Faith says, I'm already on my way. Fear says, I'm already on my way since I'm guided. Fear says, it's over. Faith says, it's just beginning. Which one are you choosing before you sleep? Let me make this clear. The energy you go to sleep with is the energy you wake up with. If you go to bed stressed, you wake up heavy. If you go to bed grateful, you wake up empowered. If you go to bed in fear, you wake up fragile. But if you go to bed in faith, you wake up focused. That's why before you sleep, you've got to guard your mind. Stop replaying your failures. Stop imagining worst case scenarios. Stop letting your mind become a battlefield to feed. Feed it peace. Feed it hope. Speak over yourself before you sleep. Say, I'm capable. I'm growing. I'm becoming everything I was meant to be. Say it until your mind believes it, until your spirit rests in it. Faith isn't pretending you're not afraid. It's remembering that fear doesn't control you. When you remember that, you begin to live with confidence, even when you don't have clarity. You stop letting fear dictate your decisions. You stop shrinking your dreams to fit your comfort zone. You stop letting your mistakes define your worth. Faith gives you permission to rest, because you know that rest isn't quitting, it's preparation. And that's what you need before you sleep. Not panic, not guilt, not worry. Preparation through peace. You've got to understand, fear thrives in imagination. It exaggerates the unknown. It turns a what if into it will. But faith thrives in truth. It reminds you of what's real, what's possible, what's proven. Look back at your life. You've been through storms before. You've seen impossible situations turn around. You've watched doors open that no one could have opened but faith. That's evidence. That's proof. That's why when fear starts speaking at night, you've got to talk back. You've got to say, no, I've seen too much to doubt now. You've got to remind yourself that every time you thought it was over, faith found a way. You've got to remind yourself that even in your weakest moments, something kept you going. And that something is still with you. The reason so many people feel lost is because they feed their fear more than their faith. They meditate on problems instead of possibilities. They pray with worry instead of trust. But if you can shift that, if you can make the decision tonight to end your day with faith, your entire life will change. Because faith gives you peace that doesn't make sense. Faith gives you calm in chaos. Faith gives you focus in confusion. It allows you to close your eyes and rest. Not because everything is perfect, but because you know that even imperfection serves a purpose. Sometimes faith is quiet. It doesn't always look like shouting or celebration. Sometimes it looks like tears, but with hope in them. Sometimes it looks like saying, I don't have all the answers, but I still believe. Sometimes it's just the act of laying your head down and trusting that you'll wake up to new strength. That's faith. Faith isn't waiting for proof. Choosing peace before the evidence arrives. It's saying, I may not see how it will work out, but I know who's in control. You got to decide what kind of energy you want to take into your rest. Are you going to let fear write your story, or will you let faith take over? Because every night your mind replays your beliefs. Every night your spirit recharges based on what you feed it. If you feed it fear, you'll wake up anxious. But if you feed it faith, you'll wake up aligned. That's why some people wake up drained and others wake up determined. It's not about how much sleep they got. It's about the spirit they slept with. Tonight, I want you to try something. Before you sleep, don't just scroll your phone. Don't just replay your failures. Instead, close your eyes and say, I choose faith. Say, I believe that something good is coming. Say, I release the things I can't control. Feel that peace settle in your chest. That's power. That's faith doing its work. You don't need everything to make sense tonight. You just need to believe that it will make sense in time. Faith builds momentum. Every night you choose it, it gets stronger. Every time you reject fear, it loses control. It's like a muscle. The more you use it, the more powerful it becomes. And soon, faith won't just be something you do before you sleep. It'll be the way you live. You'll start making decisions based on hope instead of hesitation. You'll start seeing challenges as opportunities instead of threats. You'll stop fearing failure because you'll realize every setback carries a lesson that brings you closer to success. Faith over fear isn't just a quote. It's a lifestyle. It's how warriors rest. It's how leaders rise. It's how dreamers endure. It's how broken people rebuild. Every night you end your day in faith, you're telling the universe, I trust the process. You're telling your heart, I'm still in the game. You're telling fear you don't mean anymore. And that's the most powerful thing you can do before sleep. To surrender your worries, silence your doubts, and fall asleep believing that something beautiful is waiting for you when you wake up. Because it is. And as long as you keep choosing faith, every night, every challenge, every season, fear will lose its voice and your future will find its way. That voice inside your head can be your greatest motivator or your deadliest enemy. Every night when the world goes quiet and it's just you, your thoughts, and your reflection, that's when the real battle begins. You can fool people all day with your smile, your strength, your grind, but when you're alone, there's no hiding. It's just you versus that inner critic. And let me tell you something, that voice is powerful. It knows your weaknesses. It knows your past mistakes. It knows exactly what to say to make you doubt yourself, to make you feel small, to convince you that you're not enough. But here's the truth. That voice is not the truth. It's the echo of fear, disappointment, and pain you carried for too long. It's the voice of the old you. And before you sleep, you've got to learn to silence it. Because every time you let that inner critic control the conversation, you surrender your peace. You surrender your growth. You surrender your identity. You start believing that failure defines you. You start believing that other people's opinions are louder than your purpose. You start believing that because you fail, you can't rise again. But that's a lie. The real you, the one deep inside your soul, knows that setbacks are setups for comebacks. The real you knows that pain is part of progress. The real you knows that criticism, even the one in your head, can't stop someone who's decided to keep moving forward. You gotta catch that voice in the act. The moment it whispers, "Ooh, are not enough," you gotta say, "I am." When it says, "You failed today," you gotta say, "Oh, but I learned." When it says, "You'll never make it," you gotta say, "Oh, watch me." Because the more you speak truth into your own mind, the weaker that negative voice becomes. You can't silence the critic by ignoring it. You silence it by overpowering it with truth. You've gotta train your mind to recognize lies for what they are. Think about it. How many dreams have died not because someone else said you couldn't do it, but because you said it to yourself? How many times did you talk yourself out of greatness before you even tried? You said you weren't ready, you weren't smart enough, strong enough, or worthy enough. And every time you said those words, you planted seeds of doubt. But tonight, before you sleep, you gotta start uprooting those seeds. You gotta replace them with faith, with love, with belief. The world outside can be brutal. People will judge you. They'll misunderstand you. They'll underestimate you. But none of that will destroy you unless the voice inside agrees with them. So, your job is not to change what people say. It's to change what you believe. The power is in your words, your thoughts, your self-talk. That's where transformation begins. Every successful person you admire had to fight that same internal battle. They had to learn to control their self-dialogue. They had to replace fear with focus, doubt with determination, and self-hate with self-acceptance. You can't move forward carrying the weight of negative words you tell yourself. It's like running a marathon with chains around your legs. Every night before bed, check your thoughts the way a warrior checks his armor. Ask yourself, what did I let my inner critic say to me today? Did I believe it? Did I let it steal my confidence? If so, you fix it right there. You remind yourself that mistakes don't define your future. Effort does. You remind yourself that failure is just feedback. You remind yourself that progress is made by imperfect people who refuse to quit. There's a version of you that the world hasn't seen yet. That version is fearless, focused, and free. But that version can't come alive as long as the critic has the microphone. You gotta take that mic back. You gotta become the loudest voice in your own head. Speak life, speak strength, speak vision. Because what you tell yourself before bed becomes the foundation of your mindset when you wake up. You can't expect to rise like a lion if you sleep like a victim. You can't expect to conquer the world if you go to bed conquered by your thoughts. Every time that voice tells you you're not worthy, remind it that you were created on purpose for a purpose. Every time it tries to replay your failures, tell it that those moments built your resilience. Every time it tells you to quit, whisper back, and not today. You've got to develop the discipline of mental control. Because success doesn't start with a degree, a paycheck, or a title. It starts with a mindset. A person who has control over their thoughts is unstoppable. You've got to forgive yourself too. That's part of silencing the critic. So many people can't rest at night because they're replaying every wrong move they ever made. They're stuck in a loop of regret. But listen, you're not that person anymore. You've learned. You've grown. You've survived things that would have broken others. So stop punishing yourself for being human. Let go of the guilt. Let go of the shame. Let go of the I should have. Because holding on to those words gives power to the critic. Forgiveness is freedom. And when you free your mind from the prison of regret, your potential can finally breathe. You've got to talk to yourself like you would talk to someone you love. You wouldn't look at your best friend who's struggling and say, you're worthless. You say, you got this. You remind them of their strength. You remind them of their progress. So why can't you do that for yourself? Be your own encourager. Be your own motivator. Be your own biggest believer. Because at the end of the day, no one else can do it for you. The world can cheer for you. But if you don't believe in yourself, the noise means nothing. Understand this? The inner critic feeds on your silence. The more you let it speak without fighting back, the louder it grows. But when you start answering it with courage, when you start speaking truth with conviction, it begins to lose power. You can't stop that voice from showing up, but you can decide what volume it plays at. You control the dial. You control the energy. You control the narrative. So tonight, as you lie in bed, if that voice starts whispering all your insecurities, all your failures, all your fears, don't fight it with frustration. Don't fight it with focus. Say out loud, that's not who I am anymore. Remind yourself of what you've achieved. Remind yourself of the storms you've overcome. Remind yourself that tomorrow was another chance to be better. Because sometimes it's not about silencing the critic completely. It's about reminding yourself that you are louder, stronger, and wiser than that voice could ever be. When you master that inner world, everything outside starts to shift. Opportunities feel clearer, challenges feel lighter. Fear starts to fade because when you know who you are and speak that truth over yourself daily, the critic loses its power to define you. You stop being controlled by emotions and start being guided by purpose. That's when your life starts changing. So before you close your eyes tonight, take a deep breath and tell yourself, I'm proud of me. Say it even if you don't fully believe it yet. Keep saying it until you do. Because that's how transformation begins. One honest word at a time. Speak life into your spirit, peace into your heart, and strength into your mind. That's how you silence the critic. By becoming your own source of love and light. You are not the voice of doubt. You are not the mistake. You are not the failure. You are the comeback, the lesson, the growth, and the possibility. The critic inside you is just noise, and you, my friend, are the music. So let your song play louder. Let your truth echo stronger. And as you drift off to sleep tonight, rest in this. You are enough, and you always have been. When was the last time you really stopped and said, I'm grateful, not just for the big wins, not just for the things the world sees, but for the quiet blessings. The breath in your lungs, the roof over your head, the lessons that came through pain. Gratitude is the heartbeat of growth. It's what keeps you grounded when life gets loud. And it's what reminds you that no matter how far you still have to go, you've already come a long way. Too often we rush through life chasing what's next, comparing, competing, complaining. But before you sleep, you've got to pause and look around. You've got to recognize the miracles in your ordinary moments. Because gratitude isn't weakness, it's power. It's the reminder that even when you don't have everything you want, you already have everything you need to start. Gratitude changes the way you see struggle. It doesn't erase pain, but it gives it purpose. When you're thankful, even for the hard time, you start to see that everything is shaping you, molding you, preparing you. The nights that broke you made you wiser. The losses that hurt you made you humble. The disappointments that left you crying on the floor built your resilience. You wouldn't be who you are without the storms. That's why you gotta stop cursing the dark and start thanking it. Because without the dark, you never recognize the light. Every night before bed, think about it like this. Every breath you take is a gift. Every problem you survive is a victory. And every person who believed in you, even when you didn't, is a blessing. Gratitude gives your spirit fuel. You can't pour from an empty heart, and the way you refill it isn't through money, fame, or validation. is through appreciation. When you're grateful, you stop needing to prove yourself. You stop feeling behind. You start realizing that you're exactly where you're supposed to be. Gratitude doesn't make you complacent. It makes you complete. It fills the gaps that ambition alone can't fill. See, gratitude and growth go hand in hand. People think success comes from hustling nonstop, from grinding every second, but that's only half the equation. The other half is recognizing the blessings along the way. Because if you can't be thankful for small progress, you'll never feel fulfilled with big victory. You'll keep running, chasing, striving, and still feel empty. Gratitude gives meaning to the journey. It teaches you to celebrate every step, not just the finish line. It reminds you that you're not starting over. You're starting from experience. When you go to bed tonight, don't focus on what didn't go right. Don't replay every mistake. Don't beat yourself up for not doing enough. Instead, whisper a simple thank you. Thank you for the strength that got me through the day. Thank you for the lessons that came disguised as problems. Thank you for the people who didn't give up on me. Thank you for another chance to get it right tomorrow. Because when you practice gratitude, you change the energy inside you. Worry fades, peace grows, and faith multiplies. Gratitude is the soil where hope takes root. Sometimes gratitude is hard, especially when life feels heavy. When you've lost someone, when things aren't working out, when you're in pain, it's hard to say thank you. But that's exactly when it matters most. Gratitude in the good times is easy. Gratitude in the storm is growth. When you can say, I may not understand it, but I'm thankful for it, that's when you unlock power most people never reach. That's when you rise above circumstances. Because gratitude isn't about ignoring pain. It's about trusting that pain has purpose. You have to train your mind to find light, even when everything around you feels dark. Every challenge you face didn't come to destroy you. It came to develop you. Be grateful for the pain that pushed you to change. Be grateful for the failure that taught you humility. Be grateful for the silence that taught you to listen. Be grateful for the rejection that redirected you towards something better. Gratitude transforms wounds into wisdom. It takes what was meant to break you and turns it into the reason you're stronger. You can't grow in bitterness. You can't rise while complaining. You can't evolve while envying. Growth requires gratitude. Every time you choose thankfulness over resentment, you free yourself from negativity's grip. You begin to attract more of what you appreciate. Life starts aligning with your energy. Because when you're thankful for what you have, you create space for more blessings to flow in. That's the law of life. Appreciation amplifies abundance. Think about the nights you thought you wouldn't make it. The moments you wanted to quit, the tears no one saw. You made it through. You didn't give up. That's something to be thankful for. You're still here, still breathing, still fighting. You might not be where you want to be, but you're further than you were. That's gratitude in motion. It's not about perfection, it's about perspective. Gratitude says, I'm not there yet, but I'm grateful I'm not where I used to be. When you live in gratitude, even the smallest things become miracles. The sound of laughter, the warmth of sunlight, the taste of food, the touch of someone who cares, those are gifts. But we overlook them because we're too busy wanting more. The truth is, happiness doesn't come from having everything. It comes from appreciating what you have. Gratitude shifts your focus from what's missing to what's meaningful. Every night, make gratitude your final thought. Not anxiety, not worry, gratitude. Because whatever you fall asleep thinking about is what your mind will carry into the next day. If you end your night in frustration, you'll wake up heavy. But if you end in gratitude, you'll wake up renewed. It's a choice. Gratitude is not something that just happens. It's a daily decision. It's looking at your life and saying, even if it's not perfect, it's still beautiful. Gratitude is also humility. It reminds you that you didn't get here alone. Someone helped you. Someone prayed for you. Someone sacrificed for you. When you remember that, your heart softens, pride fades, compassion grows. You start to see life not as a competition, but as a connection. Gratitude builds bridges. It heals relationships. It turns enemies into teachers and strangers into blessings. Before you sleep, take inventory, not of your losses, but of your gains. Think about the people who love you, the opportunities you had, the lessons you've learned. You'll realize you're richer than you think. Because true wealth isn't in your bank account, it's in your mindset. It's in being able to look at life and say, I may not have everything I want, but I'm grateful for everything I had. Gratitude also gives you peace with your past. When you're thankful for where you've been, even the painful chapters lose their sting. You stop wishing things were different and start understanding why they had to happen that way. You start trusting that every detour was leading you somewhere necessary. That's growth. Not running from your story, but embracing it. And when you live in that mindset, you start radiating something different. People feel it. Life responds to it. Because gratitude attracts positivity. You begin to see opportunities others miss. Start walking in joy instead of stress. You start building from a place of fullness, not emptiness. Gratitude becomes your power source. Quiet, steady, unbreakable. So tonight, when you close your eyes, thank life. Thank yourself for not giving up. Thank the people who showed up when you needed them most. Thank even the challenges that made you stronger. And then rest knowing that gratitude has already started building a better tomorrow. Because a thankful heart is an unstoppable one. Gratitude is not just a feeling. It's a way of living. It's a choice you make when everything says you shouldn't. It's saying thank you in advance for blessings that haven't even arrived yet. That's faith. That's vision. That's power. When you practice gratitude daily, your light begins to rise to meet your words. You stop waiting for joy to find you because you've already created it. So before you sleep, remember this. Everything you're praying for is already on its way. The fact that you're still here means your story isn't done. Be grateful for the process because it's shaping you into someone who can handle the promise. Gratitude turns your waiting into worship and your struggle into strength. And when you wake up tomorrow, you'll wake up lighter, freer, and ready because you chose to rest your heart in thankfulness. Gratitude fuels growth. It keeps you moving forward with peace, no matter what's behind or ahead. So tonight, don't count your problems, count your blessings. Don't dwell on what's missing. Focus on what's meaningful. Because when your heart beats with gratitude, you'll never go to bed empty and you'll never wake up lost. You've been through storms. You faced nights so dark you couldn't even see the next step ahead of you. You've cried silent tears that nobody knew about, carried weights that no one else could understand. Somehow, you're still here. That's not luck. That's not coincidence. That's strength. That's the unbreakable spirit inside you that refuses to give up, even when everything around you tells you to. Before you sleep tonight, I want you to take a moment and recognize that. Recognize the warrior you are. Because life will always test you. It will always push you. But the fact that you've made it this far is proof that your spirit cannot be broken. An unbreakable spirit isn't about never falling down. It's about never staying down. Every time life has knocked you to your knees, you've had a choice to stay there or to rise. And you rose, maybe slowly, maybe painfully, maybe shakily, but you rose. That's what makes you powerful. Not perfection, not wealth, not applause, but perseverance. Your spirit has been tested by fire. And every time you came out stronger, wiser, and more grounded. That's what defines strength. Not how loud you roar when things go right, but how steady you remain when everything goes wrong. Think back to your hardest moments. The days you thought were impossible. The times you said, I can't take this anymore, but somehow did. The moments when you had every reason to quit but kept going anyway. Those weren't accidents. That was your spirit showing up for you. You might not have noticed it at the time, but deep down, something inside you refused to break. That's the part of you that doesn't need motivation or permission. It's the part of you that knows your story isn't over. Life doesn't give out trophies for surviving, but it should. Because surviving is its own kind of victory. Every time you wake up after being broken, every time you smile after being hurt, every time you dream after being disappointed, that's your spirit refusing to surrender. That's resilience. That's inner power. And that's something no one can teach, no one can take, and no one can destroy. People might look at you and see strength, but they'll never know what it cost you to become this strong. They won't know about the sleepless nights, the silent battles, the internal wars you fought to keep going. But that's okay, because your strength doesn't need to be validated. It just needs to be acknowledged by you. Before you sleep, remind yourself, I survived 100% of my worst days. That's the kind of record champions carry. An unbreakable spirit is built through pressure. You don't get diamonds without it. You don't get warriors without war. You don't build endurance through ease. Life doesn't make you unbreakable by keeping you comfortable. It makes you unbreakable by showing you what you're made of. Every challenge you face is a question life asks you. How bad do you want this? How much can you handle? How strong is your faith? And every time you answer those questions with action, your spirit grows tougher, sharper, and more unstoppable. But let's be honest. Having an unbreakable spirit doesn't mean you never feel weak. It doesn't mean you never cry, never doubt, never get tired. It means that even when you do, you still find a way to move. You still whisper to yourself, I can't give up now. You still stand when it hurts. Strength isn't about feeling nothing. It's about feeling everything and choosing to keep going anyway. The strongest people are not those who never fall apart. They're the ones who fall apart and still get back up. You've got to start giving yourself credit. Stop focusing on how far you have to go and start recognizing how far you've already come. You've walked through things that would have broken others. You faced rejection, loss, betrayal, disappointment, and yet you're still showing up. That's the definition of unbreakable. You may bend, but you don't break. You may cry, but you don't quit. You may hurt, but you still heal. You've proven time and again that no matter what hits you, you will rise again. And when you go to bed tonight, I want you to carry that truth with you. Because sometimes we forget our own power. We think we're weak because we're tired. Or we think we're lost because things didn't go our way. But listen, fatigue is not failure. Confusion is not collapse. You're allowed to rest, to breathe, to recharge. But don't you dare forget the fighter that lives within you. You've got a spirit that's too strong to be broken by one bad day, one failure, or one mistake. You are built for more than that. The unbreakable spirit isn't loud. It doesn't always show up in big victories or public success. Sometimes it's quiet. It's in the way you get up for work when your heart is heavy. It's in the way you smile at others when you're still healing. It's in the way you choose hope over bitterness, forgiveness over revenge. Those small choices day after day build an unshakable foundation. That's strength that lasts. Remember this? No one ever developed an unbreakable spirit in easy times. Growth doesn't come from comfort. It comes from resistance. It comes from adversity. It comes from being stretched beyond what you thought you could endure. And every time you survive something hard, you expand your capacity for more. That's how life molds you into someone who can handle greatness, by letting you wrestle with struggle. There's a difference between being hurt and being broken. Hurt means something affected you, and that's okay. But being broken means something ended you, and that's not your story. You've been hurt, yes, but you're not broken. You've been knocked down, but you're not out. The unbreakable spirit knows that even pain can't stop purpose, because your purpose was written before the pain ever arrived. When life tries to crush you, it's not trying to destroy you. It's trying to awaken you. The pressure you feel is proof that you're growing. You're being shaped for something greater. Every test you faced was preparation. Every heartbreak was redirection. Every closed door was protection. You might not see it now, but one day you'll look back and realize that what you thought was breaking you was actually building you. So before you sleep tonight, don't focus on how heavy the load feels. Focus on how strong you become carrying it. You've handled storms you never thought you could survive. You've healed from things you never thought you'd recover from. You've rebuilt your peace after chaos. You are proof that the human spirit, when fueled by faith, cannot be destroyed. Stop apologizing for being strong. Stop minimizing your resilience just because people don't see your scars. You don't need to prove your strength to anyone. Living through what you've lived through is proof enough. Every breath you take tonight is evidence that your purpose is stronger than your pain. You're still here for a reason. Don't ever forget that. And when tomorrow comes, carry that strength into it. Don't let the world convince you that toughness means coldness. True strength has compassion. It has humility. It has grace. The unbreakable spirit doesn't harden. It transforms. It learns to bend so it doesn't snap. It learns to forgive so it doesn't poison itself. It learns to love even after being hurt. That's what makes it unstoppable. If no one told you today, let me remind you, you are stronger than you think. You are braver than you realize. You've already overcome so much, and you'll overcome whatever comes next. The same spirit that got you through your worst day is still inside you tonight. You are unbreakable not because life won't test you again, but because you've proven that no test can take you out. So lie down tonight knowing this. Storms may shake you, but they can't shatter you. Pain may slow you, but it can't stop you. Fear may whisper, but it can't silence your faith. You got a fire in you that even the coldest nights can't extinguish. You got a light that darkness can't touch. You are living proof that resilience is real. And tomorrow, when you open your eyes, let that spirit rise again. Face the day with the quiet confidence of someone who knows they've already won battles most people never saw. Don't hide your scars. They're your trophies. Don't fear your past. It's your training ground. And don't ever doubt your strength. It's been proven time and again. Before you sleep, remember who you are. The fighter, the survivor, the believer, the one who refuses to break. Because that's your truth. That's your legacy. And no matter what happens next, that spirit inside you will keep shining, keep rising, and keep winning. You are unbreakable. Not because life is easy, but because you never stop standing. Every night before you sleep, your mind replays everything that happened throughout the day. The wins, the losses, the mistakes, and the moments you wish you could take back. It's easy to get caught in that loop of overthinking, replaying every scene like a movie you can't turn off. But before you let your thoughts carry you into doubt, regret, or frustration, remind yourself of this truth. It does not define you, and falling short doesn't mean you've lost your worth. The seventh key to remembering who you are before you sleep is understanding that your mistakes are not your identity. They are lessons written in the ink of experience, and every one of them is shaping you into who you're meant to become. You've got to stop letting what went wrong today steal the power of what can go right tomorrow. Eric Thomas always says, you can't be great if you're scared to fail. And that's not just a quote. It's a way of living. Most people never realize their full potential because they're so afraid of making mistakes that they never even take the first step. But if you look closely, the greatest breakthroughs always rise from the ashes of failure. You can't learn endurance without pressure. You can't learn patience without waiting. You can't learn strength without falling down and standing back up. Every stumble teaches you something that success never could. And if you want to grow, you got to start seeing your failures as feedback, not as final. When you lay down at night, you have to choose which voice to listen to. The voice of defeat that says, you're not enough, or the voice of wisdom that says, this was just another chapter, not the whole story. Every single person who's ever achieved greatness, Michael Jordan, Thomas Edison, Oprah, Steve Jobs, they all had moments when they failed, when people laughed at them, when their ideas flopped, when they doubted themselves. But the difference is they didn't stop there. They took the failure, studied it, learned from it, and came back stronger. Jordan didn't let being cut from his high school team stop him. Edison didn't stop after 1,000 failed attempts at creating light bulbs. Each failure was a step toward the version of themselves they were destined to become. The truth is, failure tests your character. It reveals whether you're doing something because it's easy or because it matters. If you quit every time things get hard, you'll never reach the level of life that was meant for you. Growth only happens in discomfort. Progress only comes when you push through pain. So, before you sleep, don't count how many times you fail. Count how many times you got up. Because that's what matters. Your resilience, your persistence, your refusal to quit even when everything inside you screams to stop. There's a reason why most people don't achieve greatness. They give up too soon. They let one failure convince them that they're not good enough, but they're not good enough. But the truth is that one failure was never meant to destroy them. It was meant to develop them. It was meant to humble them, to sharpen their vision, to remind them that success isn't handed out. It's earned in the dark, lonely moments when no one's watching. Every sleepless night, every disappointment, every no you hear, it's all preparing you for the years that will change your life. When you go to bed, think about this. The world's most successful people didn't get where they are because they avoided mistakes. They got there because they learned from them faster than others. They reflected, they adjusted, and they tried again. Failure can be your greatest teacher if you allow it to be. Every setback carries a message, a mirror showing you what you still need to work on. Maybe it's your patience, maybe it's your consistency, maybe it's your belief in yourself. But whatever it is, you have to face it instead of running from it. It's not the fall that breaks you. It's staring down that does. And when you refuse to rise, you stop your growth. You stop your progress. You stop becoming who you were designed to be. That's why every night you need to forgive yourself for your mistakes. Let them go. Don't carry today's regrets into tomorrow's opportunities. If you failed, learn from it, but don't let it haunt you. Remember that failure is an event, not a person. You failed at something, you are not a failure. There's a big difference. Sometimes your mistakes are the best things that could ever happen to you because they wake you up. They show you where you need to be more disciplined, where you need to be more focused, where you've been settling. Every mistake carries a gift. It forces you to grow beyond your comfort zone. It teaches you to think differently, act differently, and become stronger. The pain that comes with failure is a signal that something greater is waiting for you on the other side if you're willing to keep going. When Eric Thomas talks about resilience, talking about the strength that comes from pushing through your darkest moments, he's talking about those nights when you want to quit, but you don't. He's talking about that fire inside that refuses to be extinguished, no matter how many times life tries to blow it out. That's what you gotta hold on to before you sleep. That unshakable belief that you're still in the game. You're still fighting. You're still becoming. Every failure builds the foundation for your future success. Think about a builder constructing a tall building. Before it rises into the sky, he has to dig deep into the ground. That's how your life works. Every setback is a dig, a foundation being built for something greater that's about to rise. The deeper the foundation, the higher the structure. So don't despise the days of struggle. Don't hate the nights of disappointment. They are creating depth within you. They're strengthening your base. Because one day you're gonna rise so high that people won't believe where you started. When you lie in bed and your mind starts replaying your failures, tell yourself this: I needed that. I needed that lesson. I needed that experience. Because without it, you wouldn't have the wisdom you gained. Every scar has a story. Every setback has a seed of strength hidden inside it. The only question is, are you willing to look for it? Most people don't because they're too busy being angry at what went wrong. But the ones who rise, they analyze, they reflect, they grow. Don't allow fear to build walls around your dreams. Don't let regret become your bedtime story. Every day is a new page, and you have the pen in your hand. You can rewrite your story no matter how many times you stumble. You can rise, rebuild, and become more than you were yesterday. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be persistent. Remember, pain is temporary, but quitting lasts forever. When you fall, get back up faster. When you fail, learn quicker. When you make a mistake, forgive yourself sooner. Because life doesn't reward those who never fall. It rewards those who never stay down. Every champion you admire has a trail of failures behind. They just turn those failures into fuel. So before you sleep tonight, let go of the guilt, the fear, disappointment. Acknowledge your mistakes, learn what you need to, and move forward. You're still becoming, still growing, still learning. You are not broken. You are being built, and tomorrow you'll rise with new strength because you had the courage to fall, to fail, and to get back up again. That's how you remember who you are. Not by your wins, but by your will. Not by your perfection, but by your persistence. Because even in failure, you are still powerful. Even in mistakes, you are still chosen. Even in pain, you are still destined for greatness. So close your eyes tonight knowing this truth. You are not your failures. You are your fight. And as long as you keep getting back up, the world hasn't seen your best yet. As you lay your head down tonight before sleep takes over, remember this one truth. Your story isn't finished yet. You might have had a tough day, a disappointing week, or even a painful season of life, but none of that defines where you're going. And final key to remembering who you are before you sleep is realizing that your future is still in your hands. The pen has not been taken from you. You are still the author of your next chapter. And no matter how many times you've been knocked down, you still have the power to rise again, stronger, wiser, and more focused than ever before. Eric Thomas always says, don't cry to give up, cry to keep going. Because when life pushes you to your knees, that's not the end. That's the beginning of something powerful. Those moments when you feel like giving up are often the very moments when a breakthrough is closest. But too many people quit right before the finish line. They give up when the pain gets too heavy, when the dream feels too far, or when they can't see the light anymore. But you gotta understand, your breakthrough will only come if you're willing to keep walking through the darkness. Before you sleep, don't focus on where you are. Focus on where you're going. The gap between your current reality and your potential can feel massive, but that space is filled with opportunity. Every second you're breathing is a new chance to redirect your story. You are not stuck. You are being shaped. Every delay is building your discipline. Every rejection is refining your vision. Every hardship is constructing your strength. You have to stop seeing obstacles as barriers and start seeing them as bridges. They're taking you somewhere higher. When you close your eyes tonight, imagine the version of yourself that you want to become, not in some distant dream, but as a living, breathing possibility. Picture that person who is disciplined, confident, focused, and unshakable. That's who you really are underneath the doubt, underneath the fear, underneath the noise. Life's challenges don't come to break you. They come to introduce you to that version of yourself, the one that's been buried under excuses, hesitation, and comfort zones. Every challenge, every storm, every disappointment is an invitation to meet that stronger version of you. But to step into that version, you gotta let go of the past. You can't keep carrying the same pain, the same grudges, the same regrets into tomorrow. You can't build a new future while holding on to old wounds. Every night before you sleep, you have to release what no longer serves you. The guilt, the resentment, the what-ifs, the fear. Let them go. You are not what happened to you. You are what you decide to become after it. Life doesn't get easier. You just get stronger. And the only way to keep growing is to keep moving forward, no matter what tries to hold you back. Think about it. A seed has to be buried in darkness before it grows. It has to be pushed into the soil, surrounded by pressure, unseen and alone, before it can break through and reach the light. That's how your life works too. Sometimes you feel buried, forgotten, or trapped in your circumstances. But what if you're not buried? What if you're planted? What if this darkness is the exact environment you need to grow roots that will hold you steady when your time to rise comes? Before you sleep, remind yourself, growth takes time. You might not see the results yet, but something is happening beneath the surface. You're evolving in ways you can't see. Every night you have a choice to close your eyes with doubt or to close them with determination, to end your day defeated or to end it with faith. You can either focus on what went wrong or on what's still possible. You can either replay your fears or rehearse your vision. The thoughts you sleep with tonight become the energy you wake up with tomorrow. So feed your mind with belief. Speak life into your dreams. Tell yourself, I'm not done yet. My story is still being written. Because as long as you're alive, there's still another page to turn. Eric Thomas often reminds us that you have to want your future as badly as you want to breathe. That hunger, that drive, that fire, that's what separates the ordinary from the extraordinary. But hunger alone isn't enough. You gotta protect your mind. You gotta stop letting doubt and negativity rent space in your head. When the world tells you that you can't, you gotta be the one who whispers back. Watch me. Your belief has to be louder than your fear. Your purpose has to be stronger than your pain. And your faith has to outlast your frustration. Tonight, reflect on everything you've been through. The battles you fought, the storms you survived, the nights you cried yourself to sleep, and yet you're still here. You're still here. You still stand. That's proof of your strength. That's evidence that you are built for this. You've already overcome things that once felt impossible. So why doubt yourself now? You've come too far to quit. You've endured too much to stop believing. You owe it to yourself to see what happens if you keep going. When tomorrow comes, life might hit you again. It might challenge you, test you, push you to your limits. But tonight, as you lie in bed, make a decision. No matter what happens, I will not give up. I will not let fear write my story. I will not allow failure to define my future. You have a destiny that's bigger than your doubts. You have a purpose that's greater than your pain. You have a power inside you that's waiting to be unleashed. Sometimes the reason you haven't seen your breakthrough yet isn't because it's not coming. It's because you're still being prepared for it. You're still being molded into the person capable of handling the blessings you've been praying for. That's why patience is so powerful. When you understand that delay doesn't mean denial, peace begins to replace panic. You start realizing that what's meant for you will always find you, not when you're ready in your eyes, but when you're ready in your spirit. So before you sleep, thank God for where you are. Even if it's not where you want to be yet, thank Him for the lessons, for the strength, for the opportunity to start again tomorrow. Gratitude turns what you have into enough. It reminds you that every breath is a gift. You are not behind. You are exactly where you need to be for what's coming next. Close your eyes tonight knowing that you're evolving, even when you can't see it. The person you're becoming is already within you. You just have to keep showing up, keep believing, and keep fighting for it. You are not the same person you were a year ago, a month ago, or even a week ago. You've grown, you've learned, you've endured. That's progress, even if it doesn't feel like it yet. Remember this, your future self is waiting for you to stop doubting and start doing, to stop hesitating and stop believing, to stop replaying the past and stop replaying the story. The world doesn't need a perfect version of you. It needs a persistent one, because persistence beats perfection every single time. So tonight, let peace replace pressure. Let hope replace fear. Let faith replace doubt. You are not finished. You are just beginning. You have more in you than you realize. More strength, more courage, more greatness. Your journey is still unfolding, and the best chapters haven't been written yet. Before you sleep, remind yourself of this truth. You were born with purpose. You were designed for greatness. You were built to rise. No matter how dark it gets, the light within you is stronger. Tomorrow isn't promised, but tonight you have the power to decide who you will be when the sun rises. You are still becoming, you are still growing, you are still fighting. And no matter what comes next, you'll be ready because you remember who you are. As the night settles in and silence fills the room, take a deep breath and remind yourself that you made it through another day. You faced challenges, battled doubts, pushed through fatigue, and still, you're here, breathing, standing, becoming. That's not something small, that's strength. That's resilience. That's proof that no matter what came against you, you refuse to quit. And that right there, that determination, that unshakable will to keep going even when no one's watching, who you are. Before you close your eyes, let this truth sink deep into your soul. You are not defined by the noise of the world, the mistakes of your past, or the opinions of others. You are defined by your spirit, your heart, and your relentless drive to rise no matter how many times you fall. Every night gives you a sacred opportunity, a chance to reset, to release, to remember. The day might not have gone the way you wanted. Maybe you didn't hit every goal. Maybe you fell short of your own expectation. Maybe someone hurt you or life disappointed you. But that doesn't mean you failed. It means you're human. It means you're growing. Life isn't about perfection. It's about persistence. It's about showing up again and again with a heart that refuses to surrender. That's what separates those who dream from those who live their dreams. When Eric Thomas speaks about purpose and drive, he's reminding us that every second of life has meaning. You weren't born by accident. You weren't placed here to merely exist, to go through the motions, or to live someone else's version of success. You were born to create impact, to shine light, to become something extraordinary. But to live that kind of life, you have to remember who you are. Not just when things are easy, but especially when things get hard. Because it's in the darkest moments that your true self emerges. It's when everything feels like it's falling apart that your strength begins to build. So as you lay there, don't rush to sleep just yet. Take a moment to reflect. Think about everything you've overcome. The heartbreaks that didn't destroy you. The failures that taught you lessons that gave you perspective. You've walked through storms and still managed to find light. You've been knocked down and still chose to rise. You've been doubted, but you kept believing. You faced fear, but you kept moving forward. That's who you are, a warrior, a survivor, a believer in something greater than your pain. Every scar on your heart, every bruise on your spirit, every tear that's fallen, they're not signs of weakness. They're proof of your strength. They're reminders that you've been tested and still remain standing. So never feel ashamed of your struggle. It's shaping you into the kind of person who can handle the greatness that's coming. Because let me tell you, the life you're dreaming about isn't for the faint-hearted. It's for those who can endure, those who can believe when everything says to give up, those who can keep walking when the road disappears. Before you sleep tonight, let gratitude fill your heart. Be thankful for the small things, the breath in your lungs, a roof over your head, the lessons learned, the opportunities that are still waiting. Gratitude doesn't mean ignoring your pain. It means finding light within it. It's realizing that even in the struggle, there's something to be thankful for. Every moment you choose gratitude, you shift your focus from what's missing to what's possible. And that shift changes everything. Your mindset, your energy, your future. You have to understand that the greatest gift you can give yourself each night is peace. Peace with where you are and faith in where you're going. You don't need to have everything figured out tonight. You don't need to know exactly how or when your dreams will unfold. You just need to trust that they will, as long as you don't give up. Every sunrise is a second chance, and every morning is a new opportunity to write another line in your story. You are the author. You are the creator. You hold the pen. So stop rereading the painful chapter and start writing the comeback. Maybe you spent too much time waiting for permission to dream, to heal, to start over. But you don't need anyone's approval to step into your destiny. You've already been chosen. You've already been equipped. Everything you need is already inside you. You just have to believe it. You just have to stop doubting yourself and start moving with purpose. You've spent enough nights worrying about what could go wrong. It's time to start imagining what could go right. Eric Thomas once said, when you want to succeed, see bad as you want to breathe, then you'll be successful. That hunger, that fire, that relentless drive, that's the difference between the person who wishes and the person who wins. You can't be half committed to your purpose and expect full results. You can't live in fear and walk in faith at the same time. Every night before you sleep, make a solemn promise to yourself that no matter how many times you fall, you will rise again. No matter how many people doubt you, you will still believe in yourself. No matter how hard life gets, you will keep showing up. You are capable of more than you realize. You've only scratched the surface of your potential. There are parts of you that haven't even been awakened yet. The strength, the courage, the creativity, the leadership. It's all inside you, waiting for the moment you stop settling for less than you deserve. Life will keep testing you until you realize your worth. So stop letting temporary pain make permanent decisions. Stop letting fear write your future. The story isn't over, and the ending is still being written. When tomorrow comes, it won't demand perfection. It will only ask that you try again, that you give your best, that you walk with purpose. So go to sleep tonight, not with regret, but with resolve. Resolve that tomorrow you'll wake up and push a little harder, believe a little stronger, love a little deeper. Every sunrise is proof that you still have a chance to become everything you were meant to be. Remember, your worth doesn't decrease because someone couldn't see it. Your dreams don't lose value because they take time. And your purpose doesn't disappear because of your pain. Everything you've been through is working together for your growth, your evolution, your transformation. So let peace rest on your heart tonight. You are right where you need to be. You are still becoming, still unfolding, still rising. The person you were when this day started is not the same person lying here now. You've learned something. You've endured something. You've grown through something. You've grown through something. That's progress. That's movement. And even if it feels small, it matters. Because every step forward, no matter how small, brings you closer to the life you're meant to live. So as your eyes close and the world grows quiet, let this truth echo in your mind. You are enough. You are strong. You are chosen. You are capable. You are destined for greatness. Nothing that happened today can take that away from you. No failure can erase your worth. No mistake can undo your potential. The only thing that can stop you is forgetting who you are. And tonight, you won't forget. You'll sleep with peace, with pride, with purpose. Because you know that tomorrow is another chance to rise, to fight, to grow, to shine. You'll wake up with fire in your soul and strength in your heart. You'll remember that you're not here by accident. You're here to make an impact. You're here to inspire, to overcome, to build something lasting with your life. So rest now, not because you're finished, but because you're preparing. You're recharging for the battles ahead, the dreams waiting to be claimed, the victories yet to come. Let the world sleep while you dream bigger. Let the night heal your spirit and fill your heart with faith. Because when the sun rises, so will you, stronger, wiser, more determined than ever. You've come too far to stop now. You fought too hard to give up now. The world needs your story, your strength, your light. So close your eyes, breathe deeply, and whisper this to yourself. I am not done. I am not defeated. I am not lost. I am becoming. And when tomorrow comes, you'll rise like the morning sun, unshaken, unbroken, unstoppable. Because you remember who you are.